Scorpio, welcome to your February 2024 astrology forecast. You guys know you're my favorite because I'm biased because I'm a Scorpio rising. So I'm sorry I'm not presenting in my best light. I look and feel awful today. Today's the new moon. I'm recording this pretty late. I'm sorry. Oh my God, is everyone else okay? Like, this is happening in our fourth house. And granted, it's happening on my natal Jupiter, like to the degree. And I think it's trining my Chiron. So maybe that's why I'm literally not okay today. But I have been crying nonstop. And I hope you guys are doing better than I am. But let's jump into it. I only use that disclaimer because I'm a little like low energy. So I'm sorry if I'm just not pumping like I usually am. On the 5th, Mercury entered our 4th house and it conjoined Pluto on its way in. This is usually just going to be a telltale sign of a profound conversation, a very intense piece of information, a powerful sort of communication with somebody. Mercury is speaking, talking, writing, using your voice. Really where your focus and attention is going to be mentally for about the next month or so. Having Mercury go through your 4th house can sometimes be a time of more solitude, privacy, wanting to just chill out and stay home a little bit more, talking to family more, thinking about family, thinking about the past, nostalgia, memories, looking backwards a little bit. It doesn't have to be super detrimental or damaging unless you allow it to be. Maybe having that full moon today is wrapping up the closing out of memories and really being able to finally let go of something. But having it conjoin Pluto on the 5th, Pluto is death, it's rebirth, it's change, it's transformation. There was an opportunity to regenerate some sort of energy there mentally with an idea, again, with a communication, with a conversation with somebody. Could have been a family member, could have been setting a boundary, could have been finding something out, could have been uncovering the truth, realizing something from the past and connecting two and two. Those are very likely. On the 7th, Venus in our 3rd house was in a square to the nodes that are between our 6th and our 12th house. So we know the nodes are always going to be directly opposite one another. They are always in an opposition. It never breaks, and an opposition is a need for balance. We're supposed to be prioritizing and focusing on our work, health, routine, and lifestyle, and letting go of, or at least loosening our grip on what's going on psychologically, mentally, allowing memories and trauma and unresolved emotions to prevent us from making progress in the physical realm through our habits in our everyday life. Having Venus in the 3rd house square there again could look like a pivotal decision, a moment, a shift in something in regards to our habits, or again, the way we're talking to people, the way we're making changes in our environments or anything like that. Really switching up the vibe, the bringing more balance to that 6th and that 12th house. I actually think no, because that was only a few days ago. I'm like so recently very, very, very obsessed with working out and going to the gym. Not in an unhealthy way, but just in a way where I can tell I've noticed how much relief it's giving me, and therefore I'm becoming very fixated on it, like I am with most things that give me any sort of relief. So it's kind of that vibe where it's like, I realize that that's something that can change things for me, change my health, both physically and mentally. So now it's a part of my everyday routine. And that 3rd house is really about what's familiar to you, what's in your environment. It's also driving, it's transportation, it's siblings, but it's really communication, where your head is at, and how that reflects, for better or for worse, your everyday life, habits, routines, and environment. On the 8th, the sun in our 4th house squared Uranus in our 7th house. So this is really a head-to-head collision, or maybe not a collision, I would say maybe that's more of an opposition, but rather a point of tension, the need to make a change, a decision, an action. It's friction that can create a lot of frustration, but not for no reason. That frustration is supposed to inspire us to do something about it, to take action, to make that decision. So this is between the 4th house of home, family, living situation, property, private life, really what's going on emotionally and here on the inside, coming into a conflicting point with the people closest to us, with our relationships, whether that be platonic, interpersonal, familial, romantic, or even business partnerships and clients as well. Uranus is really going to bring in that shock factor, that unpredictability, that need for liberation and change and doing something new, approaching something in a way that you typically don't. It's a change in pace, a change in taste. It is somebody shaking the table, maybe somebody close to you making things unexpected and that changing your living situation or your private life. There, I think for a lot of people, will be the need to really pay attention to probably how you overlap with either the people you live with, like roommates or friends or something, or it's more so like your romantic partner, having conflict with your family, or moving in with them, moving out with them, things in regards to those like very foundational pillars in our life. if you're very single and you're like, I don't really know what this is, like I'm in that position, I'm not dating anyone, so I'm like, all right, I'm not moving in with a partner. I think for me, I'm noticing shifts in the way that I relate to and kind of my relationship dynamics with my family members and the people close to me, but also having that urge where I desperately want to move out very badly. On the 9th, so today, this new moon in our 4th house is equally going to be square Uranus, because we're still going to be having that vibe of Uranus hitting it pretty hard. So this is going to be at 20 degrees. If you have any planets within the fixed signs around, we'll say 17 to 23 degrees, this is going to be particularly very strong for you. A new moon in the 4th house is a new beginning, a new chapter, a new cycle beginning in regards to our home, family, living situation, private life, or our emotional foundation, and how we kind of stand up on our own 2 feet internally, who we are at the core. Having a new moon here can be exciting, but it can be a little bit like sensitive and vulnerable, despite the fact that it is in very sobering, objective, logical Aquarius, because it still is the most, private area of the chart. That square to Uranus again can kind of feel like a little bit of uneasiness or anxiety, or the need to chase your tail a little bit. It's destabilizing, but I want you to use that discomfort as inspiration to stabilize yourself, to create an emotional foundation that's a little bit stronger, to figure out where your emotional security and safety comes from, and then really plant your feet in that, rather than leaning into the things that disrupt your nervous system. On the 13th, Mars is going to enter our 4th house, and then on the 14th, on Valentine's Day, it's going to conjoin Pluto as it makes its way in. So Valentine's Day, keep saying for everybody across the board, is like profoundly like just violent and combative and aggressive for no reason. This isn't to say it's going to be the worst day in the world for everybody across the board. I think for some people it might be. I think for some people it is going to be like these revelations and the need to accept maybe they're not with the right person, maybe they're not satisfied in their relationship, maybe they're deeply unhappy being alone. But I think for other people, they can be shocked at how much their partner, throws an extravaganza for them for Valentine's Day. It can also be the very strong connections of friendship being celebrated as well. Having this again though go through such a familial, private, property oriented area of the chart, it's likely to be a lot of internal shifts and changes and transformations happening this month, whether everybody else sees it or not. It's likely to be something that's more under the radar that you're feeling rather than seeing. So if there's no changes in your physical circumstances, don't be like, oh, this wasn't true for me, this wasn't working for me, because it's likely just like a lot going on in here and in here. Having Mars enter brings, wherever Mars transits, brings a lot of change, action, things kind of, serving as a catalyst and speeding up in this area of the chart. You've had it in your 3rd house for the last 3 months, so there could have been frustrations with car troubles or with like transportation, your everyday habits and routines. It could have also looked like you again becoming more active, really getting more ambitious with your day-to-day lifestyles and habits. So use that as context to kind of predict for yourself what this is going to look like moving forward into your 4th house. Again, moving can be a big thing here, a very profound change with home, family, or living situation. For better or for worse, Mars is our chart ruler, so whatever it does is going to be far more impactful for us than everybody else. Aries rising can kind of relate to this as well, being ruled by Mars as well, but this is probably going to be like a little bit volatile emotionally, or when it comes to your safety and your security. Let me say that it doesn't have to be the worst thing in the world. Like a tragedy, I would say, is the worst case scenario, but perhaps you're getting triggered. Perhaps it's like something even from the past, or uncovering the truth of something, or kind of putting a light on maybe the more taboo or darker aspects of something that happens behind closed doors or from our past or internally, that's just gonna get picked like a scab a little bit, where maybe there isn't something new kind of coming in and destroying our lives, but rather we're being tested with salt being put in the wound in order to see if we can withstand that and transmute it and transform and move forward. Again, this is happening on Valentine's Day, so with all of the drama that's been happening in our 7th house for years now of relationships and people close to us, it could be romantic, it could be something with like an ex, it could be something again with a family member or someone that you lived with. All of those things are very likely to become relevant. But on the 16th, so just a few days later, Venus enters the 4th house and kind of remediates any we'll say, abrasions that Mars has caused. So the bright side is that if you're making plans for Valentine's Day, I would really suggest that you push them off until the weekend, because on Valentine's Day, which I believe is Wednesday midweek, that's when it's pretty volatile. But on the 16th, we have a little window of things getting a little bit easier and Venus kind of coming in and putting a band-aid on any wounds that Mars might have opened. However, on the 17th, so literally just the next day, Mercury is going to be squaring Uranus and Venus will conjoin Pluto. So again, more unpredictable conversations, more shaking of the table. It's likely to be an unexpected text, someone you did not expect to reach out to you, reaching out to you and saying something out of pocket. It can look like you having a liberating conversation, but probably through the vessel of breaking up or through cutting something off or walking away and ending something. Those are very extreme examples, but with Venus conjunct Pluto, extremes are likely on that day because Venus and Pluto are pretty intense. They're profound, they're transformative, but it brings in, fear and paranoia and power and control dynamics, and again, needing to face the truth on romantic and financial situations, even if it's not what we want to see. So there's that shock, there's that abrupt change to the nervous system, there's that moment of like, oh, this is new stimuli to me, and then this intense feeling of like my comfort zone or my desires are at risk or at a heightened intensity in this moment. Again, for better or for worse, it's going to look differently depending on how it's configured in everybody's personal chart. Sorry if the lighting is different. I had to charge my camera because it was dying. So I think we covered the 17th, mid-month, insane, intense. Just be geared up for there to be a lot of ups and downs, changes, all of that happening. On the 19th and then on the 23rd, we have the sun entering our 5th house and then Mercury heading in a few days later to enter our 5th house as well. So we're making this pile up from pretty much the first 3 weeks of February being very home, very private life, very living situation, family oriented, to shifting to the romantic sector. So then we get to have a little bit of fun by the end of the month, and the focus kind of shifts to what we want, what we desire, maybe dating somebody new, sleeping with somebody new. Definitely be careful with like pregnancy, children. If you do not want those things right now, there is more susceptibility to those things becoming more likely at the end of the month, but there can just be a shift in maybe focusing more on romance or creative projects, on doing things that are fun for you, that you like, things that spark joy. On the 24th, there's going to be a full moon in our 11th house opposite Saturn in the 5th. So this full moon is going to be the ending to a door or a cycle or a chapter that began back in the middle of September of last year. So think back to like September 15th, 2023. This is going to be the full circle moment or wrapping up of loose ends to what began, what was conceived, what was planted as a seed back then. What was I doing? I literally just bought my car. I started looking at office space. So it's been 6 months, and then you start to see what's been going on back then kind of culminate and come to life in a big way now. So having that full moon doesn't have to be bad. It's just a full circle moment. It could be an ending to something in regards to friends, community, friends, communities, your social circle, maybe big dreams that you have, things on social media. It's really going to be your larger sense of belonging in the world, things on your vision board, like very big dreams for yourself. But having that opposition to Saturn in your 5th house can be some sort of limitation or restriction from a romantic partner, from a creative project, maybe something in regards to, someone you're dating or some sort of desire that you want, and this being at odds with the big moment, the full circle moment, the fin moment that's happening here. So an ending in the 5th house in regards to your sense of belonging in the world, support from other people, big dreams, maybe you're completing something, and this tension with Saturn in the opposition to your 5th house is like the restriction or the discipline or the responsibility that it required to get here being acknowledged, like your hard work paying off. Let's manifest that it's that sort of ending rather than like a sad ending. On the 25th, Venus is going to square Jupiter. This is good luck, good fortune, abundance. It's typically going to be very good things happening because we're having two planets that love to give us opportunity and warmth and joy and sprinkle a little bit of fairy dust, kind of kissing in the sky at the same time. At the very worst, it functions in excess. It's like spending too much money, eating too much sugar, being overly confident about something and like talking the talk but not being able to walk the walk. But this is a good day to like get a scratch off, do something that you enjoy, really just enjoy the fact that there's going to be expansive, warm, fuzzy energy in the air. And then we end the month with Mercury conjunct Saturn in our 5th house. So this might be a serious conversation, or this might be the need to confront something in an adult, mature way, again, in regards to something that you want but maybe you can't have, or something that feels good but isn't good for you. The 5th house is really the id in us, the psychological id, the little child that has no parameters, no consequences in their mind. They just want what they want and don't think further than that. So it is like eating your favorite food, not realizing the more you're going to eat it, like you're going to get sick and you're not going to feel good anymore. It's the same way we really want to date the person that we want to date, even if we know they're super bad for us. It's the money that we want to spend on all these extravagant things, knowing that it's really screwing up our long-term plans. So there might be the need to confront where we get in trouble with instant gratification as opposed to waiting it out and being patient for prolonged gratification. And definitely that, you know, being a reminder that that is worth far more than just what feels good right now, quickly in this moment. Serious conversations, important details in conversations. There might be some limiting circumstances where you get a slap on the wrist, like you are getting a like bank block where you can't spend any more money, or you're getting cut off romantically, where there is like a conversation you have to have with a romantic partner that maybe isn't like the most fun. It looks like we might have a serious moment there, but otherwise from there on out, it looks like we still get to enjoy a little bit of that selfishness that comes with the 5th house. So that is pretty much our month, Scorpio. I hope that this helped you. I'd love to hear what you guys are going through. Like, it helps me, honestly, because sometimes I forget that I am not the only one going through this stuff. And if there's anyone I should be speaking to, it's my other fellow Scorpio risings, because I know you're probably going through something similar. So I'd love to hear how your Valentine's Day goes, how your month goes. If you want to hear more about how this month or Valentine's Day is going to affect you specifically, you can book a personal reading. I have ebooks, all that, KMONEY.Biz. Everything you need is going to be linked in the description below. I hope that you guys have an amazing month, and thank you so much for watching, and I will speak to you next month.